Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Rachel. I'm Talking Dog Stitcher here on YouTube and over on Instagram, and this channel is all about cross stitch. Today is a bit of a special episode. I won't be doing my regular Flosstube bit. So I've just come back from a retreat, I've got some haul, all that kind of stuff. I'm going to film an update of that in the next couple of days. For now, we are going through my Stitch Mania plans. If you've never heard of it before, fear not, I will go through it. So Stitch Mania is like an event each year where stitchers go crazy, go a little bit mad with all of the starts and things. So I did Mania last year. I've got my videos from that still up on my channel, so feel free to go and check them out. This is all of the things that I started last May. Now, if you recognise this layout, I'm not surprised. It is shamelessly stolen from Brenda, the lovely handwork maniac. I'm also kind of managing my Mania in the same way that she does, in that I will pick up each project on the day that I started it last year. So last year, on the 1st of May, I started my Joyful World series, and I'm going to pick that back up on the 1st of May this year. If there are any gaps because I have finished the project, there are a few, then I will replace those, excuse me, then I will replace those with a new start. And I have, like I say, I've got a couple of new starts. So I'm going to get everything out. I'm going to show you all of the whips for Mania. I'm going to show you all of the finishes that I did in the meantime to make some space, and then I will show you all of the new projects that I've got to fill the gap. Let's get into it. So as you can see by my little calendar here, I started something every other day in May last year. That was a total of 15 new projects without starting one on the 31st. 15 new starts in a row I found really burned me out. So I'm glad that I didn't, apart from 15 being a nice sort of round number, I'm glad I didn't push myself for the 16th on there. Yeah, 15 new starts in a row is apparently my limit. I'm looking forward to having a Mania that is focusing on the whips that I already started, giving me a bit of structure to when I'm going to stitch on each of these things. And it also meant that I saw a little bit more progress than I normally would by getting 2 days of stitching in. And it meant that if I was having an off day, if life was lifing, that it didn't really matter. It wasn't going to affect anyone. Well, it's not really going to affect anyone anyway, is it? But it wouldn't impact on my plans if I ended up having a no stitchy day. And I did have a couple of no stitchy days last May, and I still managed to get everything sort of started and on time. So I'm pretty happy with how it's worked out. I'm really excited to get going on this, and let's get everything out, show you what we're going to be stitching on in May. 1st of May, I started the Joyful World series by the Snowflower Diaries. It lives and has lived in my Canny Little Fox home case, along with the other 11 months. And this is the first of the series that I started. So this is May. This is all stitched in CXC thread, and if the pattern, where the pattern calls for gentle arts in the title, so May, or the animal that appears in the middle, then I'm using the gentle arts. But other than that, it's all just CXC, using the conversion that they provide to the DMC numbers. Stitched on 32 count linen in vintage cream, this is, and it's a printed one. So it's mottled on one side and not mottled on the other, with a hanging thread ready for me to just pick up and get going. Number 1. Number 2, Jurassic Park. If you've been here before, then you'll have seen this a few times because I showed you when I finished it and when I fully finished it. So, for the last time on this channel, it's going to finally find a resting place in our kitchen, is Jurassic Park. Get it at an angle so we don't get a glare. So this is, what is that? This is stitched on the called for 18 count Ada in Milk and Honey by Fibre on a Whim, using all CXC threads apart from that smoke there. It calls for one of the new DMC numbers, which they don't do in CXC yet, so I just use the DMC. There is absolutely no way anyone can tell just by looking. I got a bit fancy. I only used one strand to make it look a little bit more steamy, I suppose. So that is a finish. And to replace Jurassic Park, what I wanted to do was start T-Rex, which is same person, sorry, Silver Creek Samplers, T-Rex, Jurassic Park. I know what I'm doing, I promise. What I wanted to start was T-Rex by Silver Creek Samplers, but I don't have the fabric for it, and I'm not spending this year nearly as much as I would otherwise. So I'm just going to pick something else and keep T-Rex in my stash for another day. So what I'm going to start instead, I picked this up at the Nimble Thimble when I was there in February. This is Pumpkin Topiary by Scissortail Designs. And it calls for 32 count platinum linen, which I also picked up at Nimble Thimble. So I'm going to be using that to start Pumpkin Topiary. And it's all DMC that it calls for, so that'd be a really cute, nice little finish, maybe even for October or autumn, should I say? We'll see. Put that down because that's for another project as well. On the 5th, the fox. This was the 3rd time I started this project, and it is going to be the last. I will finish it. All of my cottage garden samplings, Year in the Woods animals, live in a Turtle Bay Stitches project bag. It's glow in the dark and it's got little fireflies on the inside. And I'm stitching the fox in DMC. And in the called for DMC and Gentle Arts, apart from chalk, I've used 3865 instead of the Gentle Art chalk. And this is where we're up to. He hasn't had a whole lot of love, unfortunately, but he will get some more in May for a couple of days. This is stitched on 32 count Zweigart linen in the colour some kind of grey. I can get my iPad. Pearl grey. 32 count pearl grey linen by Zweigart is what that one's been stitched on. I've got a couple more of those Year in the Woods animals in the to-do list, so I started 3 of them last year, and I'm happy I did because I do love them. But that fox has just had me pulling my hair out. So we're happy with how it is now. We just need to get it done now. 7th of May, I started Be Nice by Primrose Cottage Stitches, and finished. I actually finished this in the 2 days of Maynia that I stitched it in. So I started on the 7th and I finished on the 8th. Be Nice or buzz off. As you can see, not FFO'd. It's been living in a box ever since last May. That's just stitched on the called for 25 count white even weave over 2 over 2, and I love the way that it's come out. And it only seems right to replace Be Nice with another Primrose Cottage bead pattern. So this is I Would Rather Be Stitching. It uses a lot of the same colours and everything like that. So yeah, I'm excited to stitch this one. And this time I've got some 32 count even weave to stitch it on, just so that it's a little bit smaller and a bit daintier. And then I'm going to have them in a dough bowl. So while we're here, actually, let's do that and put our spaces in. Okay, Megaa was next on the 9th. Here she is. She is by Make It Pink, using artwork by Hannah Alexander. She is absolutely gorgeous. As you can see, 5 different types of beads, blends. These chains can either be done in backstitch or you can attach chains to her. I love her. I absolutely love her, but I made a mistake. I started her on 36 count, picture this plus, Mystic. Stunning colour, gorgeous fabric, but it is tight. It is a tight 36 count. I was trying to do 2 over 2 and it was just really bulky. I've already ripped it out because I was just done with it. It wasn't coming out how I wanted it to. So I've scrapped it. I didn't want to, because I know I could have moved to a 1 over 2 and it would have been less bulky, but with the blends I really wanted to use 2 strands rather than sort of doing the bottom leg in one colour and the top leg in the other, because that just frazzles my brain. I have it on Pattern Keeper. I didn't want to start messing around with doing, oh, I've done half of the stitching. It would have just fried my brain. It's not enjoyable for me way to stitch, so I've scrapped it. I'm probably going to get another piece of this, but probably in a 28 count, because it's definitely a tight, after the dyeing process, it's definitely shrunk a bit, I think. So it's not even 36 count anymore, I reckon. So unfortunately, she's a UFO. She's not a UFO forever. I will start her again at some point, just not in the form that she was currently taking. So she's out of the Maynia plans until I find myself some fabric that I want to stitch her on, which means there's space for another start. I decided to stick with the dark fabric to keep in the theme of it. So I picked this up at the D-Stash table in summer last year. This is Hands On Design, Carrots and Cottontails Farm, and I'm going to do the sign, the Carrots and Cottontails Farm sign. I've got a piece of coffee craft fabric, 32 count linen. It's not as dark as a chalkboard, but it kind of has that, you know, one that's not been cleaned for a while, that it's got the remnants of a bunch of chalk stuck all over it. So I'm looking forward to stitching on that. Had to stick with the dark fabric. So yeah, mostly Gentle Arts and Classic Colourworks. I'll probably just convert those to CXC though, to be fair. So that's going to be going in on the 9th. Number 11, my next Year in the Woods animal was the barn owl. I started this on another piece of coffee craft fabric. Let me get the little card. It's a 32 count even weave. Megan doesn't name her fabrics, so these are all sort of one of a kind. And this is where I got to. Started in the centre. And it's kind of washing the fabric out a little bit. It's a little bit more green than it's appearing. But it's stitching it beautifully. And again, I'm using the called for Weeks Dye Works and CXC instead of DMC. And that lives with the fox in that Turtle Bay Stitches bag. Number 13. It had to be something spooky, and last year I saw the frame come out for the Greenhouse of Oddities and I fell in love, and I saw everyone posting that they were going to be stitching about it, and I was like, oh, I can't because I've Maynia is all full up. I don't have space to jump in, and I decided, you know, so what? Make it happen. So I moved everything around. My 13th, spooky 13th start for Maynia was the Greenhouse of Oddities by Lola Crow. I picked this bag up from Sophie at the weekend, so this is what it lives in. Perfectly imperfect, which just describes me to a T. And I think I was on the back foot from the beginning because I only had 2 days. There was no way I was finishing the frame in those 2 days. So I've just kind of just gone a bit blasé about it. Interestingly, today the frame is released for the Deadly Aquarium Deadly Aquarium Sal, which I have bought it. I have my fabric. I'm ready to go. So let's see if we can keep up on that one. I'm really gonna try. Tangent. Anyway, here it is. Here's where I've got to with my Greenhouse of Oddities Sal. I'm nearing on 60% complete with this. I'm almost entirely done in this archway over here. Just a couple more bits of green to do and the back stitching, and that's done. And we will get there in the end. It's another piece of Coffee Craft fabric, 32 count even weave in, yeah, up the top there is quite an accurate colour of the greens and yellows and blues. It fits beautifully. So I wonder if I've got enough of that to do the aquarium on. Curveball. Let's pretend I didn't say that. We don't need to be adding more. Next up, my first ever ink circles. On the 15th, I started Ghostly Mandala by Ink Circles. I got my copy from my library app from, I believe it was an issue of Just Cross Stitch magazine. I just printed off that there. More Coffee Craft even weave, 28 count this time. I'm stitching this in the first time I ever used silk, using Dinky Dye's Sugar Plum for the ghosty outlines. And I love how it's coming together. So I'm excited to get another couple of days of stitching on it. This is one of the projects that only got 1 day of stitching last year, I think. Yeah, I think the 16th I had a no stitch day. So yeah, unsurprisingly quite a small start. But progress is progress, and we will get there. We will get there eventually. Bit by bit by bit. 17th, my Dragon in the Lilies. I started this as part of the Casuarina Dragon Sal. Here it is. Absolutely gorgeous. Tons of back stitching. There's blends. I might even add a few beads into it if I'm feeling brave. Here is where I have got to. I'm quite happy with how the tail has appeared in this fabric. I was a bit worried about it blending in. Come on. This is a piece of Chromatic Alchemy fabric in the colour Sugar Plum and stitched all in CXC. Where are you? Can't see. There we go. I've said this so many times, but I'm excited to pick all of these up. 19, the bear. Oh, sorry. A bag I made myself, which is the home of my Dragon in the Lilies. Okay, my final year in the woods that I started in Maynia last year was the bear. Again, the called for weeks dye works, and then CXC, which is what it's being stitched in. This is a piece of Zweigart 32 count linen in the colour Smoky Pearl. And here's where we are up to. These are all very creased and crinkled, I'm sorry. We weren't getting the iron out today. What next? The 21st. Now this was a sad, sad start. This is Welcome to Rivendell by Country Magic Stitch. They have a website with a bunch of fandom related travel style posters. Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, that kind of thing. So highly recommend. It's lots and lots of block colour stitching, which is brilliant for a bit of mindlessness. But this is just sad. This is stitched on 16 count Ada by Zweigart in the colour Pewter. I've got my dangling thread ready to get started. I have started Visit Hogsmeade on the same fabric, so I wanted it to be the same, to have the same dimensions and all that kind of stuff. So this really needs a good bit of stitchy time on it. I don't think I got any stitching done on the 22nd. I think that was my other non-stitchy day. So yes, this is being stitched for my husband because he is a fan of the Lord of the Rings. So I would like to get this finished for him at some point. Next up, the 23rd, I started my first Mill Hill kit. This is the Mighty Oak Quartet Fall Oak. This is stitched on all of the kit majigs, doodahs, whatchamacallits, which is this brown, I assume to be 14 count Ada. This is the border, so yeah, we should have quite a good margin all round. Not too shabby on that one. Next up was Country Cottage Needleworks Frosty Forest, which I finished. This is Snowy Reindeer, and I've gone and I've attached the button to it and everything. This is stitched on the called for 32 count Zweigart linen in pearl grey with CXC, and I used the shutter green, the Gentle Art shutter green on the tree as called for. So hopefully to be finished in a little flat fold at some point, or ornament, something like that, in time for Christmas. I'm going to get it done before Christmas. So let's take that one off. 27th, I joined in with my first Soda Sal, which was Rogue Mama Stitcher, Burn Stitches, Tattooed Stitcher, hosted that. I got really carried away with everyone posting their updates and how they'd finished it, and Bernadette had finished hers, and I got really excited and I was like, I just kept stitching and I finished it, and it is fully finished as well. I did some changes to it, so as you can see, if I pop this off, she's in pink with sort of brunette blonde hair. I switched it up to lilac with blonde hair, just because of the fabric that I'd chosen. I didn't want the t-shirt to vanish into the background too much. So it's stitched on 18 count Ada in the colour Sherbet Dip from the Stitchy Ferret, using all CXC threads and my own little conversion, and then just finished in a hoop, and I'm very happy with my spiral at the back. I think it looks lovely, and that just hangs on my daughter's bedroom wall. So she is done. And do you know what? I set myself up and I still missed things. So to replace the snowy reindeer, I'll be doing the Bluebird Cabin from the same series. On same again, the called for pearl grey Ada, and in here somewhere is the owl button to go on it. So that's going to be a replacement for my snowy reindeer. And then to replace the clean day, I have enough soda stitches on the go, so I didn't want to start another one of those. So I thought, what else do I have that's cute? This one, Plum Street Samplers Hedgerow. So I picked this up at the Nimble Thimble while I was there. I also picked up the two greens that the Classic Colour Works that it calls for. So it calls for all DMC apart from two Classic Colour Works. So I picked those up, and that also is being stitched on the 32 count platinum. Got plenty to do both of those patterns from there. So that will be a new start on the 27th. The last one that I started last year, I've been calling my Blueberry Fox, but on the PDF it's called Fairy Fox. This fox with the blueberries in there. Very, very cute. I've stitched this on a piece of 28 count coffee craft fabric that is a little bit tight for it. So we started in the middle with one row of orange stitches just to get to this blueberry, so I could find the edge to make sure I wasn't going to go off it. And you know, there's not a lot of space, but it's on, and I'm fine with that. I've got quite a few stitches into this year. I say this year, I think it was the end of last year that I actually got the stitches in. So still tons and tons of orange to go, but a significant chunk has been stitched. And then finally, just in case I feel like another new start, which I haven't felt like this year, to be fair, I have got a potential for the 31st. I'll pop a picture in here of what it's going to look like when it's finished. This is from Wandling Stitches. It's called Hair and Strawberries. Unfortunately, the shop has now closed down, which is why I ended up buying this and a few others, because I saw the announcement. They'd been on my saved favourites list for ages, so I went and got them. I'm stitching it, or I will be stitching it eventually, on this piece of 18 count Ada from Coffee Craft. No, not Coffee Craft. 18 count Ada from the Stitchy Ferret, from one of her Fiver Fridays that she does. So I picked 18 count. This is what arrived, and I think it's just going to be perfect. It's like sky, which I think is going to look fab. And that's it. That is my whole Maynia plans. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed. I will do another update at the end of May to go through them all again and show you what I managed to get done in 2 days worth of stitching on each. I suppose I'll see you again soon. Thank you so much for watching. If you've got any questions about anything that I'm using or any of my processes, or if you'd just like to compliment me on my board, I'm so happy with it. It's going to be living in my office for ages, for years to come, to keep updating and rotating. So thank you very much for watching. I will see you all soon. Bye.